I don't normally bother even replying to these cretins who leave these comments because they're just nobodies really, keyboard warriors who hide behind fake profiles and fake pictures. But there's a comment here which I can absolutely jump on because it's such a telltale sign. But first of all, thanks for calling me a princess. It's always nice to be recognised as some sort of property royalty. But the mummy and daddy fill the bank account. It's the go-to attack for anyone who is literally scratching their head and wondering why they're stuck working in a factory on minimum wage, sleeping in a spare bedroom or still living at home with mummy and daddy, and they can't ever break out or earn money on their own. So when they see successful people, they can't comprehend how someone has been so successful all on their own, without any help, without any parental help, without any handouts. And the go-to reaction is to say, oh, it's mum and dad's money, because that's the only way that they can comprehend in their brain that someone will be successful. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of people who portray a successful life, who are successful, who are wealthy, but they started off with 100 grand of daddy's money or 250 grand trust fund. And let me tell you right now, breaking out and earning money and having some money in your bank, I'm talking like a few £1,000s, is by far the hardest thing to do when you get started. But when you get to 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 grand plus in your bank account, you can start to really compound that in the right way to turn what is effectively a little amount of money into huge amounts of wealth. And the only thing you have to do is be persistent and never give up. And I say that from experience, because not only did I not have a handout, I actually got myself into a poor position of a lot of debt before I really ramped up property. And we were coming out of the 2008 crisis. I had to move back in with my parents, lived in their spare room. I had no job, and the properties that I did have that I'd bought on, high loan to value mortgages, 100% mortgages, the interest rates were so high that the rent coming in wasn't even covering the monthly mortgage repayment. So just imagine that for a second. You're in a position, your business has failed, you're in huge amounts of debt, about 40 grand's worth of unsecured debt, car loans, credit cards, that sort of stuff. You've got property, but they're in negative equity, so you can't sell them because you can't afford to pay the bank the shortfall. And not only that, you're having to top up the mortgages every single month, and you don't have a job, and you don't have any income. And I can tell you that now, when you are in that position, no one wants to be your friend. No one wants to lend you money. I'm talking about banks, credit card lenders, all of that sort of stuff. And you see no light at the end of the tunnel. There is no way out. You don't realize how strong you can be until strength is the only option you have. You either fucking sink or you learn to swim. And I can tell you now, learning the lessons I learned in that small, short period of my life when I had nothing. And yes, I lived at home with my mum and dad, but I still had to pay them board. I wasn't going to live there rent free. They knew things were really tough, so they were doing their best to help in terms of like making me meals and stuff. But I still had to pay to live there. But when I was able to realise where I went wrong and reverse engineer it back and realise that had I have carried on investing in property, I would have been in a far better position. And I knew that what I had to do was get back into property in a much more targeted and selective and professional way and look at it as a business. When I was able to get a job, I was able to pay off some debt, show some good credit files, and then get back to getting a mortgage. I then didn't stop. I did not ever quit. And I persistently, relentlessly, and unforgivingly went on a massive entrepreneurial property investing journey, which led me right where I am today. I am pretty much retired. I travel the world luxuriously, business first class, the best destinations, the best hotels in the world. My children don't want for anything, but I try and teach them the lessons that I never learned. And that is all through hard, self-creating work, self-made money. So instead of targeting people like me and pointing the finger because you can't comprehend how I became so successful, so you put it down to having handouts, turn it inwards and look at yourself and try and learn from people who have what you don't, and you may find yourself giving off much more positive vibes than these negative ones.